Hey there, so I have two questions that were asked that I want to answer for you guys that may have the same type of question. So the first question is, I want to sell my house, but I am not ready yet. I'll be looking to sell next year, but I want to know next year would I be able to get the same type of prices that people are selling their house for this year, right? Okay. So, there's layers to that answer, and I want to make sure that I do answer that question for you. So first and foremost, if you would have sold your house last year or the very beginning of this year, you would have gotten more for your house then than you do now. Now, next year, we don't know what is going to happen. Interest rates can go up double digits. We might be in a full-fledged buyer's market, which will affect the value of your home. But let me go back to answering your question for next year. So next year, most likely we will be in a buyer's market. And what that means is there are more sellers looking to sell their house than there are buyers who are actually looking to purchase a house. So again, this is going to be a supply and demand issue, just like we had in the past with the seller's market and sales prices just escalating really quickly. Well, kind of the opposite is going to happen. And so what I would say is I would want to set a realistic expectation. So if we are in a buyer's market, that means that there's going to be a lot of other sellers. So your competition is other sellers, and you're going to be vying for the attention of the buyer. And in order to get a buyer to choose your house, you're going to have to give up some of your equity in your home in the form of seller's credit towards closing costs, making repairs on the house, giving incentives, say, to buyer's agents to bring a buyer to your house. So potentially you might be able to get the same value as you're getting right now, but you're going to most likely have to give up some of the equity in your home to get those buyers to buy your house. I don't believe that the values are going to take a dive. They're just not going to go up as quickly, and you're going to have to give up some of your equity in order to get a buyer to want to submit an offer on your house. Hope that answers your question. All right, so the second question that I have is, I have a tenant-occupied property that's on the market right now. Are you going to be able to sell it? So for this question, it's going to depend on where you are and where that property is located and who is buying in that area. So if the property is located in an area that, you know, has a lot of other rentals and it's attractive to investors, then yes, you may be able to sell it. But the thing is that the investor is going to also want they're going to want to purchase an income producing property, right? So there needs to be enough profits in that property in order for them to want to purchase it and to be attractive to them. You can't be trying to be greedy and take all of the equity out of the house. So they're going to be looking for a good investment. Two, if you are selling in an area that is more homeowner driven, it may be hard for you to sell a property that's tenant occupied. Most home buyers, their financing is contingent on them buying an owner-occupied property. So they won't be able to acquire the property with a tenant already living inside that property. So if your tenant maybe is month to month, then I would also advertise that property for sale, stating that the tenant is month to month, and you can terminate that lease if a buyer wants to live in the property. Especially in areas where there's low housing and people are looking to buy to live, selling a property that's tenant occupied might be a little bit more challenging. So I definitely would make sure that that listing is very detailed and specific in stating that the tenant is month to month and the lease can be terminated prior to the buyer closing on the property. Hope that answers your question. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them for you. Otherwise, happy buying and selling.